Welcome to Act on Mental Health. My name is Sean, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor here in the state of Indiana. Now, on this channel, we talk about acceptance and commitment therapy, as well as relational frame theory, the science behind ACT. Now, I love to learn ACT, and I love to teach it. So if you want to learn about acceptance and commitment therapy, you're in the right place. Now, in the next few minutes, we're going to learn why curiosity is so important to good therapy, how you can use it to connect better with your clients, and most importantly, how you can start using it in your practice today. Curiosity is a master skill in ACT. It's a lot like a folder on your desktop of your computer that holds several subfolders within it, with files for each microskill within this master skill of curiosity. We basically have three subfolders that we're going to put new information in: notice, name, and tame. The first microskill is noticing. And what we're going to teach a client is to notice the distinction between I think or feel this way, yet I do this behavior. So let's try this simple exercise. So right where you are, I want you to invite you to stand up, and I want you to walk to the other side of the room slowly, saying, I feel like sitting. I think sitting is best. So go ahead and do that. Take 10, 15 seconds and try this exercise. Great job. So what did you notice about this experience of saying one thing yet doing another? What distinctions did you notice? Were they the same? Was one easier than the other? Were the sensations of speaking, hearing, thinking, walking different, or were they simultaneous? In what ways were they different? As you were doing this, were there any thoughts that you noticed showing up? This is so stupid. Why am I doing this? Sitting is the best. So just notice what you notice doing this simple exercise. Now, is it possible to have thoughts and feelings about our experience, yet choose to do something entirely opposite with our behavior? Well, yes, it is 100% possible to choose something different with our behavior. This is something that we can say and explain to a client, but I find it more helpful for them to experience this themselves. Now, the second way we can teach them to notice is to lean into curiosity about sensations. So we might ask, what does this sensation feel like? Where in your body do you notice it? What is the intensity level from 0 to 100? How long does it last? When does it show up? When it shows up, what comes next? Do you feel it now? Now, it's important to not make this feel like an interrogation or an assessment. Be curious with the client on what this experience is like. Now, lastly, we're going to ask the client to describe in detail about this sensation. See, describing allows us to get space from this sensation. And this is where you can add another level by asking questions about its shape, its color, texture, energy, its size, appearance. You can kind of get creative with it and ask them some questions on what it might be like if it were something visible. Now, for some, they may describe the sensation like a burning stream of lava in their chest, or they may use some kind of metaphor like a waterfall of sadness, or like a coffin that surrounds them. They may use some metaphor language here, and that's okay, but we want to ask them to describe it in detail. The creativity is up to the client, but describing allows the sensation to move from being noticed to named. Naming a thought, feeling, memory, and sensation is a microskill of curiosity. Using exercises like the one I'm about to show you helps clients to notice and name their experiences as they happen. So this is how it works. We're going to use these steps to do this technique. The first step is to give the client 30 seconds to notice thoughts, sensations, and feelings as they happen. Second step is we're going to have them name experiences saying, I'm having the thought, or I'm having the feeling, I'm having the sensation. The third step is we're going to have them describe it in 2 sentences. We don't want them to get into stories about a memory or get caught up in a feeling. We simply want them to notice and name. So let's see how this works. I'll go ahead and I'll put 30 seconds on the screen. And when this starts, you'll practice at home by focusing on your thoughts, sensations, and feelings as they come up. And I want you to name each experience by saying, I'm noticing, or I'm having the, and then I want you to describe it in 2 sentences. At the end of the exercise, you'll make a small change, like moving the position of your body by standing up or crossing your legs. You'll do something that's small and different. So let's try it out. We'll go ahead and start now. And stop. So let's go ahead and make a small change. I'll go ahead and I'll put my leg here. Now the final micro skill for mastering curiosity is called taming. Now that we've got a general idea of how to notice and name, we are equipped to tame our experiences. Now in ACT, the control agenda is in direct opposition to psychological flexibility, meaning the more that you try not to have something, the more that you have it. So we're not going to try to force anything or control our experiences. Taming involves relating differently to our experiences, often using cognitive diffusion techniques like the one I'm going to show you next. Because our minds are involved in judgments of our experiences, and we're trying to master curiosity without judgments, we have to tame the mind to teach it something new. So we're going to do this by creating an avatar for the mind. Now, before we jump to that, I'll show you an experiential way to teach this so that clients don't get scared off by the idea of taming the mind. Now, I may introduce this exercise by having the client try an experiment with me to see how their mind and their experiences are distinct from one another. We're going to try a little role play where I'll be taking your mind for a walk around the room, kind of like I would be taking my dog for a walk. What I'd like you to do is to play the role of your mind. And as I follow behind you, I just want you to say whatever comes to mind by saying, I'm having a thought. We'll do a couple laps around the room and then stop. As we walk, just say whatever comes to mind, like, I'm having the thought that this is going to be fun to take your mind for a walk. Ready? Let's try this out. After a couple times around the room, the client and the therapist would stop, and then the therapist would share the next step. Great work. You really had me convinced you were your mind. Now I'd like to try that again, except we will change roles, and I will play the mind, and you can take me for a walk so you can experience what that's like. Ready? Let's begin. Once we've completed our second lap, and I've shared my thoughts as the mind, we'll reflect on the exercise and what each role felt like, and whether the client can distinguish the mind from the self. Now, depending on the presenting problems, a client may really struggle to diffuse themselves from their thoughts, because they are the ones having the thoughts and cannot yet distinguish themselves from their thinking. This exercise goes a long way in demonstrating for the client what the relationship between the self and the mind looks like. It's a lot like taking a dog for a walk. Once you've established the relationship between the mind and the self, you're now ready to introduce the creating an avatar of the mind exercise. And you can do this by asking, if your mind was a creature, say an animal, that's following you around, what would it be? And the client may say, well, it's a mouse that's following me around, crawling up my leg and whispering in my ear, you're not doing this right. After we've done this and they've come up with their animal, you're going to give that animal a name. Now, it could be like a pet's name or a human's name, but give your mind a name. Now, clients could give you a little pushback on this, saying this is silly. And if they do, just roll with it and say, yeah, it's kind of silly, it's kind of weird, but stay with me and try this out. Let's say that they give their mind a name like Sprinkles the Mouse. Now, this does a couple things for the client. First, it gives them separation from the mind and the self. And secondly, it becomes a metaphor that can continue from session to session and to point back to. So if a client in later sessions has difficulty with a project that he's working on and getting it done in time, I may ask, what's Sprinkles doing right now? What is Sprinkles saying? Now, not all clients are going to take to this exercise. They may not want to create an avatar of the mind. They may just simply refer to their mind as their mind, and that's completely fine. But what this exercise does is it now unlocks an ability to tame their experiences by making different choices, whether that's disagreeing with their mind and choosing something that they value, or it's an awareness of what their mind is doing and saying as they experience this sensation. All this is useful in therapy and in life as clients continue to improve their situation using ACT. That's it for this video. If you found this helpful and valuable, go ahead and click the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. All these trigger YouTube to share this information with more people who are learning ACT and want to improve their lives mindfully. Remember, your journey towards a more purposeful and mindful life begins with a single click.